Welcome back, Dating Decoded listeners. It is so good to be here again with all of you, and of course, with my fantastic co-hosts, Rosalina.
Oh, Frank. Oh, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And to everyone tuning in, hey there. We are super pumped for today's episode. I mean, we've got a really juicy topic lined up, don't we?
Absolutely. We've talked a lot about first impressions and communication, but today we're diving into something that really underpins all of that. We're talking about something called frame control.
Ooh, frame control. Sounds a bit like, a spy movie or something, doesn't it? But trust me, it's far more practical and, dare I say, powerful in your everyday interactions. It's about how you set the tone, really.
Exactly. It's not just about what you say, it's about the entire psychological and emotional context you create. And we're going to break down what it is, why it matters so much in dating and social scenarios, and most importantly, how you can actually start using it.
Yeah, because let's be real, who doesn't want to feel more confident when they're meeting new people? And who doesn't want to foster genuinely deeper connections? That's what this is all about. So stick with us because we're about to decode the power of frame control. You won't want to miss this.
All right, Rosalina, so we've teased it. Now let's unpack it. What exactly is this frame control we're talking about? Because it sounds a little bit, intimidating to some people, perhaps.
It can it? But really, at its core, frame control is about your ability to establish and maintain the psychological or emotional frame. Think of it as the underlying context or perspective of a social interaction. It's about setting the stage,
Yeah, exactly. It's not about being fake or anything like that. It's about having a clear idea of the kind of interaction you want to have and then gently guiding it there instead of reacting to whatever someone else brings to the table.
Precisely. I remember talking to some of the original thinkers behind these concepts, and they really hammered home that it's about leading the conversation and the emotional tone. It's about projecting dominance, but not in an aggressive way, more like a natural confidence and value.
I like that distinction. Natural confidence, not aggressive, because that's a key part of it, isn't it? It's about radiating that you know your worth and that you're comfortable in who you are, which then sets the tone for the other person to respond to that.
Right? And it's actually got some pretty deep roots. We're talking social dynamics principles, even a bit of neuro-linguistic programming or NLP woven in there. It's fascinating stuff. I mean, it was really brought to prominence by people like Mystery from the Mystery Method back in 2005. So it's been around for a while.
Yeah, I've seen that book. It's quite something. And it really does emphasize that whoever controls the frame often holds the power in the interaction. Not power in a domineering sense, but more in a directional sense, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's not about overpowering someone. It's about steering the ship, so to speak. If you walk into a room or into a conversation and you're projecting a certain vibe, say a fun, playful vibe, people tend to fall in line with that rather than you having to react to their possibly, standoffish or boring vibe.
Which is huge for dating because how many times have we heard from people that they just don't know how to get past that initial awkwardness or someone seems disengaged? This is literally the tool to shift that.
Yeah, it's about creating that attractive context from the get-go. And sometimes people think, oh, this sounds a bit manipulative. But when it's done well and authentically, it really just comes across as natural confidence. That's what we're going for.
Exactly. And it's not about putting on an act. It's about bringing your best self to the forefront and setting the environment for that to thrive. That's the key difference, in my opinion.
Totally. And it's less about trying to trick someone and more about, showcasing your value, right? You're not just reacting, you're acting, you're initiating. It's a huge shift in mindset.
Okay, so we've established what frame control is. It's that psychological context you set. Now, how do we actually do it, Rosalina? What's the process?
Great question. It really kicks off with setting that initial positive frame. Think about it. When you approach someone or even just start a conversation, you're immediately projecting a vibe, right? You want that vibe to be, fun, playful, confident.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going in there with Another Monday. You're going in with, hey, this is exciting. Let's make this interesting.
Exactly. And you use your openers, your body language, everything to establish that vibe. That's your starting point. But it's not just about setting it and forgetting it. Oh, no.
Right, because people, they'll test your frame, won't they? Or they'll try to maybe bring their own.
Totally. And that's where the maintaining part comes in. You have to be able to redirect any attempts to shift your frame. Like if someone tries to shut you down or, I don't know, brings up something negative, you don't just collapse into their frame. You gently bring it back to where you want it.
So if someone's being a bit standoffish, you don't then become standoffish yourself. You keep that positive, engaging energy you started with. Like if they're like, I'm not interested, you don't go, oh, okay, sorry.
Exactly. You deflect that, often with humor, which we'll get into with some examples later. But the goal is always to keep the interaction aligned with your initial intent, which is usually building attraction and rapport. This is key, especially early on during what some foundational texts call the attraction phase.
It makes so much sense. It's about demonstrating your higher value, your confidence, not by bragging, but by how you handle the flow of the interaction. You're showing you're not easily rattled.
Precisely. And this is where a really crucial concept comes in, one that I can't emphasize enough: calibration.
Calibration. What do you mean by that?
Well, you're not just steamrolling over the other person. Calibration is about adjusting your frame based on their response. You don't want to be over-dominant or just totally ignoring their cues. It's a dance, right? You're leading, but you're also feeling their response, so you can adjust just enough.
So it's not about being rigid and forcing your frame, but more about being flexible within your established frame. You're still in control, but you're also sensitive to, their emotional state.
Yes, it's super important for ensuring genuine connection. If you're just pushing your agenda, it's not going to feel authentic. It's about making sure the other person feels heard and respected, even as you're gently guiding the interaction. You're reading their mood, their body language.
So it's less about a script you stick to no matter what, and more about a flexible framework that you're adapting in real time. That's a great distinction. It sounds a lot less, robotic.
Totally. The goal isn't to be a robot, it's to enhance social success in a way that feels natural and, fun. Sometimes people do get it wrong and it can feel a bit scripted, but when it's done right, you just come across as naturally charismatic. It's a skill that takes practice, for sure.
And the beauty of it is it really can spark genuine interaction because you're creating a positive space for that to happen. You're not waiting for it, you're initiating it.
Absolutely. You're creating the conditions for a great conversation rather than hoping one just magically appears. It's taking responsibility for the social dynamic, which I think is incredibly powerful.
Okay, so we've talked about what frame control is and how you set and maintain your frame. Now let's get into some actual, actionable tips, practical stuff you can try.
Yes, this is my favorite part, Frank, the real-world application. So the first tip we want to discuss is about gracefully handling a potential curveball. We're calling it redirecting a rejection with humor.
Ooh, I love this one. Because let's be honest, rejections happen. It's part of life. But how you handle them, that's where the magic happens.
Exactly. And this tip is all about not letting someone else's, shall we say, initial hesitation derail your whole interaction. The idea is to use humor to just pivot, like a pro.
Right. So the classic scenario, right? You approach someone, you're trying to set that positive frame, and they might give you the cold shoulder. The example from one of the foundational texts we've looked at, the mystery method, is perfect for this.
Oh, yes. I love this one. So imagine you're at a cafe, right? And you approach someone and they say, "I'm not interested."
Ouch, that stings a bit.
It can, but here's the frame control move. Instead of slinking away or getting defensive, the response is, "That's cool. I'm just here to brighten your day. Anyway, what's the best coffee spot around?"
See, that's brilliant because you're acknowledging what they said, but you're immediately flipping the script. You're not taking it personally, you're not getting upset, you're just, moving on with your agenda.
And it's so disarming, right? Because they expect you to react with disappointment or maybe even argue, but you just come back with that humor and a new, totally innocent question. It shifts from a rejection frame to a lighthearted one.
You've still got the ball. You just, change the game slightly. And it also subtly communicates, hey, I'm not here just for you. I'm just out here living my life, being curious.
Totally. It keeps the interaction alive, which is huge. It shows resilience, like you said, and it also subtly demonstrates your value. You're not easily rattled. You're confident enough to laugh it off and keep going.
Yeah, oh, you're not interested in this conversation? No worries. I'm just a generally awesome person looking for coffee recommendations. It really changes the dynamic.
Exactly. And it's not about tricking anyone. It's about having the presence of mind to maintain that positive, playful frame you started with. It's about not letting a momentary, pushback totally unravel you.
And it also leaves the door open, doesn't it? Because now they might be thinking, that was unexpected. Maybe I misjudged them.
Oh, absolutely. It often does. It showcases a level of confidence and charisma that's just naturally attractive. It's like a little social judo move. You use their energy to redirect.
I love that. Social judo. That's a great way to put it. So that's tip number 1, redirecting a rejection with humor. It's all about resilience and maintaining that control. Now, for tip number 2, we're going to talk about something crucial right at the beginning of any interaction. Setting a playful frame with an opener.
Oh, this is so good because, first impressions, they're everything, aren't they? And this isn't just about having a line. It's about setting the tone.
Exactly. It's about creating an immediate sense of fun, intrigue, and even a little bit of a challenge, in a good way, from the very first words out of your mouth. It sets the stage for everything that follows.
Right. And one of the best examples, which we've seen referenced in places like lovesystem.com, just nails this. It's so effective.
It really is. So imagine you're, in a park, right? And you want to approach someone. The example opener is, hey, I'm on a mission to find the coolest person here. Convince me it's you in 10 seconds.
I love that so much. It's got so many layers. First, it's not just a boring, hi, how are you? It immediately grabs attention.
Totally. And it's playful, right? It's not serious. It's lighthearted, but it also subtly shifts the dynamic. You're giving them a challenge. You're not asking them for something. You're inviting them to, play along.
Yeah, you're not putting them on a pedestal oh, please talk to me. You're saying, hey, I'm here. I'm doing something fun. Want to join? And the convince me part is brilliant. It makes it a game.
Right? It turns it into a little mini game, a little interaction, and it positions you, the speaker, as the one leading that game. You're the one setting the rules, so to speak.
You're essentially saying, I'm interesting enough to have a mission, and you have to rise to my level to prove you're the coolest. It's confident without being arrogant.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm the coolest. It's I'm looking for the coolest, and you have a chance to show me. It's empowering for both sides in a way.
It really is, and it encourages their participation immediately. They have to think on their feet, which is engaging. It's not a passive interaction at all.
So instead of just waiting to react to them, you're proactively shaping the entire vibe of the interaction. You're starting with a strong, positive, playful frame. It makes them want to engage. It's like, let's have fun right now. And who doesn't want to have fun? All right, so we've talked about redirecting rejections. We've talked about setting that playful frame right at the start. Now, for our third tip, this one I think is crucial for maintaining that frame when things get a little spiky. It's deflecting a challenge with confidence.
Oh, this is so important because let's be real, you're gonna get challenges. People aren't always just gonna roll out the red carpet for you, and if you don't know how to handle it, boom, frame gone.
Exactly. It's about not letting someone else's initial skepticism or challenge derail your entire interaction. It's actually an opportunity, if you handle it right, to solidify your position, your confident position.
Yeah, totally. And the classic example here, which you see popping up in, discussions online, like on jasonkwonhc.medium.com, is when you get that, why are you talking to me?
The dreaded "why are you talking to me?" It's usually delivered with like a raised eyebrow, a bit of skepticism, right? And your gut reaction might be to get defensive or just, shrink.
Or to start explaining yourself, which is like the last thing you want to do. You're not on trial here.
Precisely. So instead of that, the confident deflection, the response that really works, with a smile, mind you, is because I'm curious if you're as interesting as you look. Let's find out.
Ugh, I love that so good because, Frank, what does it do? It immediately flips the script. It takes that confrontational energy and turns it into an invitation.
Yeah, you're not justifying why you're talking to them. You're putting the ball back in their court, but in a very flattering way. You're saying, I'm interested in you, actually, and I'm giving you a chance to impress me.
It's like you think you're challenging me. No, no, no. I am challenging you. And the smile is key, right? It keeps it light. It keeps it playful, not aggressive.
Absolutely. The smile disarms it. Without the smile, it could come off as a little smug, but with it, it's just confident and intriguing. And it maintains your authority. You're not reacting to their frame. You're inviting them into yours.
You really are. And it reestablishes that you're the one leading the interaction. You're not being swayed by their initial pushback. You're saying, okay, that's your question. Here's my confident answer. And now let's move forward on my terms.
Exactly. It turns what could be an awkward interaction ending moment into a positive exchange showing resilience and a kind of charming boldness. It also creates a sense of, oh, this person isn't intimidated.
Nope. They're still confident, they're still playful, and now you're intrigued. You actually want to find out if you are as interesting as you look. It's brilliant.
Okay, so moving on to our fourth tip. And this one, I think, is really about maintaining that flow and dynamism in a conversation. It's leading the conversation topic.
Oh, this is super crucial, especially if you find yourself getting stuck in like small talk or if the other person starts rambling about something really mundane, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Because let's face it, some topics can just suck the energy right out of an interaction. You don't want to get bogged down talking about the weather for 20 minutes or their commute.
Right? And if this isn't about being rude or cutting them off, it's about like gently but confidently steering the ship towards more engaging waters, keeping things intriguing.
Absolutely. The idea here is that you're in control of the emotional tone and the narrative. You're ensuring the conversation stays interesting, vibrant, and aligned with, building attraction or rapport.
Yeah. And one of the classic examples that they talk about in some of these foundational texts, like the Venusian Arts Handbook, which is, an interesting read, is if someone mentions something like work. So picture this.
Okay, I'm picturing it. We're in like a bookstore maybe, and someone says, "Oh, I just got off work."
Exactly. And instead of going, oh, what do you do? Or how was your day at work? Which is totally fine, but kind of standard. You say something like, work's cool, but let's talk about the wildest thing you've done lately. Spill it.
Oh, I love that because it completely shifts gears, like boom, from mundane to adventurous in one sentence.
It does. And what it does is it signals that you're not interested in the surface level, humdrum stuff. You're interested in them, in their experiences, in something that's going to spark a real connection, not just like a polite chat.
Yeah. And it encourages them to open up in a different way. You're almost giving them permission to be more interesting, to share something more personal and exciting. And it immediately injects, intrigue into the interaction.
Totally. And it's a bit of a challenge, isn't it? It's like, all right, impress me. What's the wildest thing you've got? But it's delivered playfully, again, probably with a smile.
Yes, the smile is always the secret sauce, right? It keeps it light. And the effect, Rosalina, is that you're controlling the frame. You're not letting the conversation just drift wherever. You're actively, smoothly guiding it to where it needs to be to stay dynamic and attractive.
And it shows confidence too, because you're not afraid to, gently redirect. You're not just passively following whatever topic they throw out. You're saying, hey, I'm here to have an engaging conversation.
Precisely. It keeps the energy up, it keeps things moving, and it prevents those awkward lulls or boring stretches that can just kind of kill an interaction before it even really gets going. It's about being proactive.
And it's so much more memorable. Like, they're not going to remember the person who asked them about their job. They're going to remember the person who asked them about the wildest thing they've done. That's a hook.
Rosalina, we've talked about all these fantastic tips, from redirecting rejections to leading the conversation, and it all sounds, well, incredibly empowering. And it is.
Oh, absolutely. It is about taking control of your interactions, not just passively reacting. It's about being proactive and confident.
Right. But, whenever you talk about shaping interactions or, controlling the frame, there's always like a flip side, right? Some people hear this and they immediately jump to, oh, that sounds manipulative, or isn't that just being inauthentic?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, I've heard those criticisms too, for sure. Is it about just having rehearsed lines and becoming this kind of, a robot of charm?
Exactly. And, some of the critiques out there, they even suggest that if you're too focused on the scripted execution, it can actually make you less authentic. And of course, there are ethical concerns if you use these techniques to override someone's clear disinterest. Like if someone says, I'm not interested, and you keep pushing, that's not what we're talking about here.
Oh, definitely not. That's a huge, huge distinction. It's not about badgering someone or ignoring their boundaries. That's just bad form, full stop. We are absolutely not advocating for that. This isn't about tricking people into liking you,
No. And that's where the real nuance comes in, because while the establishment, might promote this as just a pure confidence booster, the key for us, and what we've always emphasized, is that its effectiveness and frankly, its goodness really depends on authenticity and calibration.
Yes, calibration. That word is so key. Remember we talked about that earlier? It's about reading the other person's mood, their responses. It's not a one-size-fits-all script that you just hammer home regardless of who you're talking to.
Exactly. It's not about being aggressive with your frame, but rather being attuned to the person in front of you. If they're not responding to a playful frame, you don't just keep being playful. You adjust. You calibrate. It's a dance, not a monologue.
Right. And if it feels like a monologue, you're probably doing it wrong. The whole point is to foster a genuine connection, even if you're using these techniques to initiate it or keep it flowing. It's about, facilitating organic interaction, not replacing it.
Precisely. When we talk about frame control, we're talking about it as a tool for genuine confidence, for enhancing your natural social intelligence, not for deception. It's about, hey, I'm a confident, interesting person, and I'm going to present myself in a way that allows that to shine through.
Yeah, I mean, I've met some of the authors of these foundational texts we've mentioned, and honestly, they're not trying to create manipulators. They're trying to help people overcome shyness, to express their true selves more effectively. The methods can be misused, sure, but the intent is usually to empower.
Totally. And if you try to use these tips in a really inauthentic, scripted way, it's just not going to work. People pick up on that immediately. If you're just regurgitating lines, it's going to feel fake. And it's just the worst. People just disengage.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, this person is trying too hard, or this feels weird. So the goal isn't to put on a show. It's to use these principles to become more confident so that your authentic self can shine through without getting bogged down by awkwardness or, shyness.
Right. So, the next time you try redirecting or rejection with humor, make sure that humor actually comes from you and it feels natural. Or setting a playful frame, it should genuinely reflect your personality.
Exactly. If you're not a naturally super playful person, you're not going to suddenly become a clown overnight. But you can infuse a bit more lightness, a bit more fun, in a way that still feels like you.
That's the key right there. It's about taking these techniques and adapting them to your style, your personality, not trying to be someone you're not. That's where the genuine confidence comes from.
Yeah, because people aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for connection. And connection comes from authenticity. So all these tools, when used properly, actually help you be more authentic. It's kind of a paradox, but it works.
It absolutely does. I think that's a fantastic point to make clear because it's such a common misconception about these sorts of ideas.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's the perfect way to kind of sum up our conversation today on frame control. It's not about putting on an act.
No, it's about, being able to confidently guide your interactions, to build connection, and really to let your best self shine through. It's a tool for confidence, a tool for connection, but only when it's authentic and, like we said, calibrated.
Absolutely. So your homework, if you will, for this episode of Dating Decoded is to maybe, just maybe, try one of these techniques. Like next time you're out, maybe try setting a playful frame with a casual opener. See how it feels.
Or try leading the conversation away from the most mundane topic. Just a little nudge. See what happens. Don't overthink it. Just try it out in a way that feels natural to you.
Exactly. And remember, it's all about practice and figuring out what works for you. We're not here to give you a script. We're here to give you tools.
Tools for Dating Decoded. And speaking of Dating Decoded, that just about wraps up our episode for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please remember to like and subscribe to Dating Decoded wherever you get your podcasts.
And hit that notification bell, too, so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. We've got more in this series coming up that you absolutely will not want to miss.
That's right. So until next time, keep decoding those dating dynamics, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone.